Hello and welcome to the video series on how to publish ebooks to Amazon Kindle. Now, keep in mind that you have a lot of other things that you can publish to Amazon Kindle. For example, blogs, newspapers, magazines, and so forth. Now, in this particular video series, I'm going to primarily focus on ebooks. But keep in mind that you can pretty much you can use this video series to publish other types of digital formats like blogs and things like that. All you do is basically upload it, I think, in a different format, but the process and everything else is pretty much the same thing. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, what I want to do is begin with a quick overview. Now, in this quick overview, I want to talk about the 6 videos in this particular video series. I'm going to talk a little more about them so that you can get a good understanding. Then we're going to move on to talk about the tools that you're going to need and that we're going to use so that you have the tools ready before we actually implement the actual system. So video number 1, of course, is this particular video. Video number 2, we're going to talk about brainstorming and researching your market. Essentially, how to find ideas and topics that you could write your ebook on. And then how to figure out whether it's going to be profitable or not. Because remember, you can do as much brainstorming as you want, but if you don't do the proper research to make sure that there is indeed a hungry market of buyers for that specific niche, then you're really creating all this for nothing. So we want to plan ahead. We want to make sure that it's going to sell. So we got to brainstorm, and then we've got to research the market. Of course, in video 3, it's all about writing an ebook that sells. We're going to talk about, how you can write an ebook that sells. How do you plan ahead of time to ensure that the content inside the ebook is good enough that there are going to be people out there that are hungry to buy it. And of course, in video number 4, we're going to talk about formatting your ebook. Now, with Amazon Kindle, you don't have to get really fancy, but there are a few things that you need to pay close attention, like how to format your ebook, starting it out, writing it with Microsoft Word, and then converting it to HTML format, things like that. Now, don't get worried. You really don't have to know HTML or the programming language or anything like that. We're actually going to use some free tools that you can use that are fairly easy to use. Video number 5, of course, after you format your ebook, you should have your ebook ready to go, which means video 5, you're ready to publish and price it with Amazon DTP. Amazon DTP is, I believe it's digital something platform. Forgot what the acronym means, but essentially it's the same thing as publishing it on their Amazon Kindle. A very, very easy process to implement, and I'll show you that in that particular video. Video number 6 is promoting your ebook. Let's say that, okay, you've finished your ebook, blog, whatever, formatted it, published it, uploaded, it's been approved. Now what? How do you promote your ebook? Well, now that it is on their marketplace, yes, if you correctly positioned it, you correctly entered the correct keywords and things like that, then you should be able to target the right person, right? Right. But you still want to be proactive about marketing and promoting your ebook. So we're going to talk about some tidbits and some tips and advice that will help you increase your exposure in terms of promoting your ebook on Amazon Kindle. Now, of course, why Amazon Kindle? Well, there's many, many factors as to why. Ebooks are cheaper and things like that. But on November 19th, 2007, Amazon released the first Kindle first generation. So within 5.5 hours, it was sold out. Now keep in mind that the device remained out of stock for another 5 months until late April 2008. So that tells us that, wow, it was released, and guess what? It was sold out for several months. Approximately 5 months, about almost half a year. Now, the good thing about Amazon Kindle is there's a large demand and it's easy to use. It's very user friendly, even for newbies. In fact, I was flying from on the airplane and, next to me was this guy who knew little about technology. I even talked to him about it, but he felt like the Amazon Kindle was very user friendly for him because he really didn't have to know all these apps. And I'm sure the iPod can read Amazon Kindle as fact too, but you know, there's a lot of people that the Amazon Kindle can reach out to, people that are not necessarily technologically savvy, but they want to be able to just use the Kindle for reading ebooks and things like that, and they want the convenience of that fact. Now, Amazon Kindle can publish on many different phones, not just the Amazon Kindle. So, as you can see, the market is huge. Ebooks are cheaper than the hardbook covers. A lot of places that sell, hardcover books, people can get the ebooks a lot cheaper on Amazon Kindle. But of course, you got to keep in mind that with Amazon Kindle, you got to buy a $100 machine or $100 product before you can actually buy the ebooks. But just keep in mind that in the long run, ebooks are often cheaper than hardcover books. So that's a big selling point there. Now let's talk about the tools that you are going to need to be able to implement this system and publish your ebook onto Amazon Kindle. First, you're going to need Microsoft Word or OpenOffice because you're going to need to be able to create doc files and then, of course, convert that into HTML format. So I personally would recommend Microsoft Word. OpenOffice is free and it is out there. You can use it. I personally use Microsoft Word, which is widely used already. And then you're going to need an HTML editor, especially if you want to edit the HTML and things like that. You can convert a Word document into HTML format, which is fine. But with an HTML editor, you have a little more leeway as far as the look of your end product. Because Amazon Kindle does allow images and things like that. Amazon likes HTML files. There's nothing fancy about the tools that you're going to need. In fact, you don't need to go out and pay any money. We're going to use a software called Mobi Pocket Creator, which basically allows you to convert your HTML files, I believe, and then protect them and things like that. Now let's talk about content guidelines. Essentially, what does Amazon allow you to do and what does Amazon not allow you to do? Now, most of this slide is going to be made up of things that Amazon does not allow. For example, they do not allow pornography. They do not allow offensive material, illegal items, stolen goods, recopied media. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory that, most sites don't allow illegal stuff or pornography or adult material. What about the public domain? What about public domain material that you can, use? Well, according to Amazon, they do allow that, but they may require you to provide proof, that you have copywritten some of that material. Hello and welcome to video number 2, which is about brainstorming and researching your market. So before I actually show you step by step what to do, I want to briefly talk about it. The first thing we're going to do is brainstorm for ideas. And while we're brainstorming for ideas, our goal is to find a hungry market. Because if you just go all out and just create an ebook or a novel or things like that, then you're really setting yourself up for failure. And you don't want to do that because your goal here is to find a hungry market and then provide a solution to that hungry market. It doesn't get easier than that. If you do it and you follow this step by step, then you will be able to create a plan of success. Now, keep in mind that when you write an ebook, it doesn't always have to be about how to do this or how to do that. It can be novels. It can be fiction. It can be just about any normal book. Because a lot of people think, oh, ebook. They're thinking digital book. They think how-to book and things like that. So I just want to let you know that first before we move on. All right, so when we find a hungry market, we're going to use Amazon.com. You can use other sites like clickbank.com if you want. That's fine. Then we're going to create a table of contents. Now, table of contents can be generated fairly easily if you know how to do it. And then we're going to do the keyword test to ensure and to make sure that the market that we're about to get into is indeed profitable. And we're going to be using the free word tracker keyword tool. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started and implement this. So the first thing I'm going to do when brainstorming for ideas or finding a hungry market, I'm going to go directly to Amazon.com's Kindle store. So you can find that by going to Google, typing in Amazon Kindle store, and you'll find the link at the top. All right, so we're looking right now at the Kindle store. And keep in mind that when you're brainstorming, you want to try to move closer towards ebooks that you're actually passionate about. The more passionate about something, the better you will be able to move forward, create the ebook, and relate to it, of course. And it becomes more fun if you do it that way. Now, if I scroll down, you'll notice on the left-hand side, they got best features, award winners, and then Kindle books. So you kind of want to get an idea of, what kind of category you might be writing your ebook on. If you're writing a fiction, it might take a long time, just to keep in mind. But generally, how-to ebooks are a lot easier to get up and running quicker. So let's say I go down here to the romance category just to see what kind of stuff. Yeah, as we can see, it's mostly fiction. So if I type in something like, let's say, dating or online dating, we see approximately 304 results. And you can sort by relevance, best-selling, and things like that. Generally, what I try to do is pick the best-selling, and so I can see, what is on the top and what is on the bottom. Generally, what is on the top is more of the best sellers for Amazon. So you can kind of get an idea of like pricing, what your competitors are pricing their ebooks, and what possibly you could price the ebooks as well. Because right now we're just brainstorming. We're just trying to observe the market and observe our competition before we actually get into getting into that niche, things like that. So we can see that roughly they're about anywhere from $3 to $14. You see a few that are, about 99 cents, but for the most part, I would say average, by what I'm looking at right now, is the average about $5 or $6. And some of you might be thinking, man, there's 304 results. But if you think about it, really, even though there's competition is a good thing. That means that there is a big buyer's market out there. If you don't have any competition, you might be a little bit worried, because then you might think, if nobody's, putting stuff out there, products and stuff, there's little competition. Yes, that's good, but is there an actual buyer's market? So that's a good way to see it. Competition is a good thing. All right, so now that I'm searching for online dating and I say, okay, let's say that I'm going to go with this. I could go through, spend several hours more and go through and look for other niches. But for time's sake, because I'm doing a video series, let's say that I'm going to do it on online dating. So now what? How can I move from brainstorming, I found a hungry market, to checking to see whether or not it's really profitable? Well, it's obvious that there are 304 results, so this niche must be very profitable. However, you just want to make sure, right? So to make sure, what we could do is go back to Google and type in word tracker free. You can use any other keyword tool you want. You can use Google AdWords keyword tool if you like, but I generally use the free keyword tool from Word Tracker. Alright, so now that we have that, I can just type in something like online dating. You want to type in something that's pretty general. So we have online dating. You can see here possible sub-niches of that niche. And all of these keywords I can see are very, very good. So I can click on that and see what sub-niches are there. And I can also analyze competition and things like that. So let's say that I pick one of these keywords. Okay, so I did some keyword research and found that indeed there's a lot of searches going to the keywords for online dating. But the next thing I want to do is actually start brainstorming in terms of the actual ebook. So what I could do is scroll back down, or I could just scroll over here and click on best selling again. Might need to do that, and then relevance. Change it back to best selling. And there we go. So I pretty much want to go through here and pick the highest I can go, but at the same time something with online dating. So for example, this deals with online dating, the rules for online dating. Some of these, they will allow you to look at the table of contents. Some of them you cannot. Unfortunately, that one does not allow me to see the table of contents. But let's see if there's a dummies book, online dating for dummies or something. Okay, so I went back to all departments because I could not find a online dating for dummies Kindle version. But if I click on this, yeah, see, dummies books always have a table of contents. So if I click table of contents, you can actually see here the table of contents. So the point of this is just to get an idea of what possibly your table of contents could look like. Now, I'm not promoting and telling you to plagiarize, because that's definitely a wrong thing to do. But my point of showing you this is so that you can get some ideas on what your possible ebook can be about. Now, I'm not saying copy it word for word or copy the table of contents. Just get an idea, look at different table of contents, just get an idea of different table of contents. So as you can see, it's fairly easy to do. Once we've done our research, we've brainstormed, we found a hungry market on online dating, we found lots of books as well as Kindle ebooks. We're looking right now at a table of contents, and we did some keyword research to ensure that there are indeed people on the internet searching a lot for online dating. And it doesn't always have to be online dating. It could be a sub-niche if you wanted it to be. But I just wanted to use this as an example. The next step is video 3, which we're going to talk about, we've done the research. How do you actually write an ebook that sells? So let's move on to that video. Hi, and welcome to video number 3. We're going to talk about how to write an ebook that sells. Now, before I actually dive into showing you step by step how to create a ebook that sells, first of all, I want to address two things. Keep in mind that the value you create, the content value that you provide and you create, equals the value that you get in money. So don't come at the angle that, okay, all I have to do is create an ebook and slap a bunch of stuff together and sell it. That's not how it works. You have to do planning. You have to kind of observe your competition. And it really doesn't take that much time to do that. But if you do the proper planning, you do the proper research, you should have no problem creating a good ebook after you watch this particular video. Second of all, you want to address the problems and concerns of a target market. So you might want to list out, what are problems that this specific market faces? What are the concerns that they face? What keeps them up at night? If you know these things, then you can really address these things in the beginning of your ebook or your excerpt and things like that, so you can grab and pull them in. And once you have done that, then you can provide the solution, then you can relate to them, things like that. So writing an ebook, it really depends on what it is. If what I'm talking about now is really nonfiction type stuff, like how to do this or how to do that, training type stuff. But if you're writing a nonfiction novel, then that's a whole different world. But what I'm about to show you is a way to pretty much figure out, how to write a good ebook, whether it's nonfiction, whether it's fiction, whatever it might be. So there are two ways of writing an ebook. You can either hire somebody to write an ebook, proofread it, change it around a little bit, or you can write your own book. Now, before you actually write your book, you need to do a little bit of planning. You need to ask yourself, is this book a fiction novel, or is it going to be a nonfiction novel or a nonfiction book? Because there are many different types of books. And if you want to get an idea of the different types of books, you could always go to Amazon. I know I keep telling you to go back to Amazon, but guess what? You already have all the resources that you need. So you can go to books, textbooks, look around, get an idea of your passions, get an idea of, you've already brainstormed, you've already figured out what you wanted to write about, but it's time to write about it. So, like I recommended earlier, go to similar books, figure out the table of contents of those books, which generally, if you don't want to guess, you can, online dating for dummies, then you find a dummies book. The dummies book has a table of contents on it. So use that same method to figure out a table of contents. Now, don't plagiarize. I repeat, do not plagiarize and do not copy word for word. This is simply to get an idea of what you can do. Now, once you know what to do, then you got the table of contents, then you can give it to the writer. In order for the writer to write a good book, they need to have a table of contents. If you just go ahead and tell them, hey, write a book on online dating, you're not going to get a book that is really good quality, because they're interpreting, the novel or the book in their own way. So if you want it done well, make sure you do the table of contents first and then give them the table of contents. That's how you do, you create a good ebook. If you want to hire somebody, you can always go to several places. Now, Warrior Forum is a good place. If you go here and you look for warriors to hire, you can find a lot of good content writers. Most of these people are article writers. However, you can still find people that are ebook writers, and I went through this the other day, and you can find people that will write your ebook for anywhere from $97 to $127. Now, that's pretty cheap, considering the fact that they're writing an ebook that will make you money on autopilot for a long time. Now, if you don't want to invest the money, then you can always write it yourself. Another good site is guru.com. I've had a lot of great experience with guru.com. I would not recommend sites like Odesk, Scriptlance, Rent-A-Coder, and sites like that. You may be able to find good writers there, but for the most part, I have had more success with Guru.com and WarriorsForum.com. Now, it's not to say never ever use Odesk.com or never ever use Rent-A-Coder.com. For the most part, I found that you can find better writers on Guru.com. And I found people to write articles, press releases, and things like that from Guru.com. So Guru.com, Elance.com is probably a good one too. I've not personally used Elance, but I've heard a lot of good things about the site. It's a big site. So you can use those two sites or any other sites to have your ebook written. But what I recommend you do though is once you give the table of contents, ask them to write the first part first, or the first few pages first, and then look over them and just make sure that the ebook is headed the right direction. The worst thing you can do is give the table of contents to the writer and have them write the whole book and realize that's not exactly what you want. So make sure that you go step by step. Plan the process out, plan your ebook out first, and then tackle that. Now, if you're going to write a fiction novel, it might be a little harder to, outsource that specific task. But as you can see, creating ebooks are indeed actually very, very easy thing to do. Now, you might be asking, well, what about private label rights articles? Private label rights articles, yes and no. You can't just take a bunch of private label articles and plop them together and then that be your ebook. You just don't want to do that, especially if you're going to put your name on it. If you do that route, make sure that somebody goes through and rewrites all of them, either in your own words or have them rewrite everything. If you do that, rewrite it, plus add or remove onto it. If you remove some stuff and then you add some stuff, then you will make it a better ebook. Now, you're thinking, oh, wow, this is pretty simple. Creating ebooks is a very simple thing to do depending on what it is. If it's a novel, you might have to take a week or a few weeks. If it's a how-to product, which most products out there are informational how-to, then it's a lot easier.